But here's what you can do when you are logged in as your company. I visited the Facebook page of our friends over at Hometel, and there's a like button there. And if I click that like button, I am now liking it as Pivot, not as myself. So now it will say that Pivot Group likes Hometel. I can also comment as Pivot on other company pages. So you can see here that Hometel has the status update, and when I click that comment button, I can write a comment, and you can see here from the icon, you can see that that's Pivot that is writing that comment, not me. So those are just two of the things you can do now as a company. Go and like pages and then enter into conversation with those pages. You could also post on another company's wall and that sort of thing. And now also you see that because this is Pivot Group, back to Pivot Group's page, and this is the info tab of Pivot Group's page, and you can see now down at the bottom there that because I clicked on that like button, it says now that Pivot Group likes Hometel, so that it's showing you that actually worked, and that now Pivot Group and Hometel are linked up in that way. And now I just want to show you a couple of things about the permissions that you have. So on this Manage Permissions tab, you can see where I'm pointing to here with my mouse cursor, the default view for the wall will be that it shows everyone's posts, and again, it will sort of be in that way that I said before, where they're sort of filtering the company's posts first and then the user's posts after that. Or you can change that so that the default view for the wall is that it only shows the company's posts. They've also added in, and you can see where the arrow is pointing now, that the default landing tab, they've made it possible to define what your default landing tab is. This was an issue I talked about a few weeks ago when Facebook was first merging company pages with Facebook Places profiles. They had taken away this option to determine what landing tab you had, and I was upset about that at the time because many companies have special welcome tabs that they take people to when they first arrive at Facebook, but they had taken that away with a merge to a Facebook Places. But now they've put it back, and I think this is a very smart, great change for Facebook to have done. I think that what they've done here is said, okay, we'll still let your company page be customizable. You can still determine which tab you want to start visitors off with when they first come to your page. So if you have a welcome tab, you can still bring people there and let them know, have them see exactly what you wanted them to see to start off with. So that's the Manage Permissions portion of the sort of edit page section. And then there's your settings function. Two other important things I think they've done here. You can see the posting preferences up at the top that allows you to determine who you post as when you post on your company's page. So right now the box is checked so that every time I, as an administrator of the Pivot page, every time I post on the Pivot page, it's going to show as an official company post. It will show as a post from Pivot Group as opposed to from Ian. But if I unchecked that, then I could post on my company page just as myself. So it could be useful. This could be useful if if you want to separate the times when you're commenting as the company as a whole or as just an individual yourself. That's a helpful option. Also, right down below it, the email notifications. This is something I don't take much time spending. I don't spend much time sending comments to Facebook, but I did write them an email several months ago asking for this very feature. So you can imagine that I'm thrilled, and of course I'm going to take personal credit for it. What they've done is now allow you to receive notifications to your personal email address when anybody posts comments on the company page. So this is a change because it used to be that you could only receive that sort of email if you were for your individual page, like when somebody comments on your individual wall. But now they're letting you receive email notifications if people comment on your company wall. And the huge benefit of this is that it's going to make monitoring your Facebook page much easier, because instead of having to come back to your Facebook page regularly and see what people have commented on various things, now you can choose to receive an email anytime somebody comments so that you know what customers are doing in terms of your Facebook page. It'll also be an easier way to guard against people who are spamming your company page and that sort of thing. So that email notifications one is huge as far as I'm concerned. A really great update. So those are the changes on the Facebook company pages. If you have any questions about them, please do let me know. I know that a lot of you had questions about that. And I do want to go ahead and jump into our focus topic now, our original topic for the day, which is to blog or not to blog. So let me go ahead and talk about that as well. First, I want to show you the list of the top 10 blogs out there. Number 10 is Mediaite. Number 9 is The Daily Beast. Number 8 is TMZ.com. Number 7 is Gawker. Number 6 is Boing Boing. Number 5 is Gizmodo. Number 4 is Engadget. Number 3 is Mashable. Number 2 is TechCrunch. And number 1, the top blog is the Huffington Post. The reason that I am showing you this list is just for me, and I don't know about for you. It'd be interesting to sort of hear a poll on this. But for me, I have heard of 7 of these 10, just in terms of ever having heard their names. In the last month or two, I have read probably 4 of them. So that's, 4 of these top 10 are ones that I've actually read. And the reason that I'm showing you this list and letting you know that is just to start off by saying that having a popular blog is a challenge. There are not a lot of popular blogs, and even the most popular here, some of them are ones I've never even heard of. Blogs are a challenge, and you should know that going into them. But the first thing I want to talk about is, well, what are the pros of a blog? Let's talk about what blogs do for you and what they do well. First of all, of course, they are a great communication tool for communicating with your customers, letting them know about what's going on with your company, being able to show them, a lighthearted side of you possibly, being able to communicate in a way that's less formal than a press release, but more formal than a Facebook post, for instance. And so blogs are primarily a tool of communication, and that is what they do well. Also, there is a depth factor to blogs. Because of the length and nature of Facebook posts and tweets, those can really only go so far. They only give you the tip of the iceberg. And so the nice thing about a blog is that you can really go deeper with a blog because the expectation when people come to view a blog is that blog postings are going to be longer, and can go into more depth. Another pro, there is a hip factor to having a blog because it's blogs right now are still a timely technology. It shows that you are in step with how to use the latest technology, particularly if you're using a service like Tumblr or WordPress or Blogger, and if you're using those well, it shows that you sort of know what you're doing and that sort of thing. And then there's a tie-in factor. Blogs can be easily connected to your social media sites, to your Facebook page. Tumblr and others have features where, once you write a blog post, it will automatically post a link to it to your Facebook company page, that sort of thing. Also, blogs are, hosted on the web at their own web address, so you don't have to worry about people necessarily having a Facebook or Twitter account. They're able to find you and your blog without those things. So there's a lot of ways that blogs allow you to connect to other services and also stand alone as their own websites. So those, I think, are some of the major pros of blogs. Let's talk about some cons. First of all, there is the maintenance issue. You have to keep a blog going. You have to keep it maintained, or else it's going to die. It's going to sit there and be stagnant, and people are going to get tired of it and wonder why they ever bookmarked it in the first place. So part of maintenance means that you have to set a schedule, and then you really have to stick to it, and that is a challenge, that ongoing maintenance of a blog. And that goes right along with the second con, which is the boredom factor. There's a great song I found on YouTube once about, your blog is so boring. There are millions of boring blogs out there. Everybody and their mother has a blog, and everybody and their mother can't be that interesting all the time. And so one of the cons is that you might just end up with a boring blog. And so could be that you're updating regularly, but that nobody wants to read it because you don't have content that's fresh. So that is another concern, is that not only do you have to keep it up, but you have to keep it interesting. And not only do you have to keep it up and keep it interesting, but you also have to get people to come and look at it, because there's no, it's hard to build an audience for blogs because there's so much competing for people's attention online, and so you have to get people to come and choose to view your blog or to set it up with an RSS feed, to do that regularly. You really have to be providing something that's useful for them, something that's going to break through the noise and get people's attention. And the last con, I think, is the comments factor. People expect to have a voice on a blog. They are considered, basically are considered public documents where people should be able to come and comment. People have come to have the expectation that they can comment anonymously, which, if you've ever read comments on a blog or a YouTube video or on newspaper articles, you know that those can get nasty really fast. I don't know who the people are who are sitting around just writing negative comments, but it happens, and it's something that that you do have to be aware of when you write a blog and be ready for. So those, I think, are the biggest cons of blogs. So what's our suggestion? What would we recommend that you do? Well, we're going to be bold and give it a strong maybe. There's really not a right or wrong answer about blogs. They're not so incredibly useful and timely that they're absolutely something that you have to do, the way that I would argue that a Facebook company page is something that you need to do. And they're also not so horrible and scary that you shouldn't ever think about doing them. It really depends on whether or not you think you can do it. And so let me talk about some considerations if you are going to do a blog, some things that you should be having in mind. The first one of these is to make sure that you have a strategy. Know what your plan is when you go and start up a blog. And some questions you might ask yourself are, first of all, what is the blog for? Are you trying to entertain people? Are you trying to inform them about your company news? Are you trying to show personality? Is it a combination of all three? What is going to be the purpose and the goal of your blog? How will you maintain it, and who's going to maintain it? Is it going to be that your CEO is expected to write all of the blog posts? Is it going to be that it's going to be a range of staff members who are given the opportunity to post? And are you going to use a service like WordPress or Blogger or Tumblr or build something in-house that's going to house the blog? So it's sort of a how and who question there. And then how are you going to get the word out? How are you going to build up that audience that, as I said before, is sort of a challenge to build up? You want to make sure that if you're going to go ahead with a blog, that you really get people on there and reading it, and try to build a community fast so that people realize that it has a value early on. So that's the first consideration, just having a strategy for the blog itself. Second consideration is to assign a point person. Here's Harry S. Truman with his famous "The buck stops here" note on his desk. There has to be somebody for your blog who has that "buck stops here" role. It doesn't necessarily mean that they are the one who is writing all the content for it, but there has to be somebody whose job it is to make sure that content is going up regularly, that it's interesting, that the audience continues to grow, that somebody who gets to have the blog is their baby, it's their project. You need to make sure you have that person in mind, because if nobody has ownership over a blog, that's a surefire way to kill it quickly. A third consideration is to stick to a schedule and have a topics cheat sheet. If you tell people that you're going to blog once a month, okay, that's okay, but make sure you do it. If you tell them once a week, make sure you do it. Just whatever you tell people the schedule is going to be, make sure you stick to it. You can start a blog without announcing a schedule if you want to, but even then you're going to want to make sure that there's some sort of regular updating, because if you let the blog go dry for 3 months, people are just going to forget about it. And having a topics cheat sheet, what I mean by that is it's a really good idea to have a long list of possible topics that you could write on that is sort of the list you keep in your back pocket, because there will be times when the idea well runs dry and you don't know what you want to write on, and so it's really helpful to have a cheat sheet to be able to look at and say, okay, this is what I'm going to write on this week because I know that this is going to be something I can write on, and you know, it's just good to have those ideas in your back pocket in case it's time for that weekly blog and you just don't know what to write about. And the last consideration is be willing to think outside the lines. If for our telecommunications clients out there, just to use them as an example, if you are a telco, don't just necessarily blog about the latest developments with your company or the latest developments in the telecommunications world. Go ahead and think outside the lines. You know, talk about what's happening in the community. Write about you know, an interesting observation that a staff member made about something going on in the world. You know, it's okay to sort of blog outside of what your field is and to not be just 100% focused on you know, on your company and its business at all times. I mean, that you want to stick with that probably as a main point of view, but it is okay to think outside those lines and to really sort of, you know, express some personality and let people know that you are thinking about other things besides just the company occasionally. So those are the considerations when it comes to a blog. I think that those are the main things that I have to say about whether or not to blog. If you have any questions about that, you can obviously let us know. One thing I want to let you know about before we go, so that everybody on the webinar has a chance to do it, is this "Where do you want to go" promotion that we're doing right now. It's actually connected to the NTCA national meeting, which is a meeting of telecommunications companies from all across the country. But we are doing this promotion now where if you want to go to our Facebook page and like us and write your dream destination within the United States on our Facebook page, we're going to pick one winner who's going to be given that vacation to the destination of their choice within the U.S. So you can, if you're going to NTCA, go ahead and stop by our booth, which is booth 205, to enter. But if not, you can go to our Facebook page to take a look at that there and you know, just enter to win if you want to. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that here for people joining us on the webinar. So that's it for me today. If you have any questions, why don't you go ahead and email me. That email address is down at the bottom of this slide. Our next Straight Talk on Social Media webinar will be 2 weeks from today, February 25th at 11 o'clock Pacific time. Not sure what the focus will be yet, but it'll be something exciting, and I'll announce that on the Facebook page as soon as we know what that is. For our telco clients, Dave Newstratton's next Straight Talk on Telco Marketing webinar will be Wednesday the 23rd at 11 o'clock Pacific time. The slides for today's presentation as well as the video will be on our Facebook page. The slides usually within a couple hours and the video within a couple days. Thank you again for joining us. Sorry to go over, but I think we had a lot of really good information we need to cover with the Facebook pages changes. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, keep your media social and your talk straight. Thanks, everyone.